the power of talk radio. brandlive.co.za.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to my show called Crime Uncovered on Brand Live. My name is Silke, spelled S-I-L-K-E. It is a German name, hence the unusualness of my name. On my show, we are going to talk about all things crime. We will talk about the motivation of crime, the causes of crime. Today, I'm going to tell you the major cause of crime across the world, but stay tuned for that part. And we will also talk about victimology in ensuing shows. So victimology is people who can become victims of crime. Basically, anybody can become a victim of crime because we all have something to offer. Even the poorest of the poor, we have a body. So unfortunately, there's always rape, which is a scourge in South Africa. They say in South Africa, a rape occurs every 7 seconds. That is really just far too many, and it's an unacceptable stat. However, today's show is not about that. Just want to give you a little bit of background about me. I'm 52 years old. I've been doing polygraph tests for about 15 years. So I'm referred to as what is called a polygraphist. Yes, try and pronounce that. It took me quite a while to be able to get that right. So let me repeat that. I'm a polygraphist. And in my career as a polygraphist, I have been exposed to crime on every single front, I think, that exists in South Africa. I have tested mainly in companies and in homes. And I've also done many farm attacks. The farm attacks that I attend to, they would be in the planning stages. I get information that there's a farm attack being planned. That will be in another show. And so I'm very experienced in that. I've also written a book called Gotcha, which is based on a true account of my experiences as a polygraphist. And all the things that I describe in this book and talk about it is actually based on fact. I might have changed gender and province, but everything is the absolute truth in this book. And my book is out already, and I know that many people are buying my book, and you might want to ask me where you can buy the book, which I'll talk about at the end of the show. So during my work as a polygraphist, I became very interested at some point as to why women become involved in priority crimes. I had started a degree with UNISA, which I'm not finished yet, but which, please God, I will finish one day. And even in, the modules in my UNISA degree, it spoke about women not really being involved in crime because we are more nurturing, we are emotionally more available to people, and we understand empathy. Well, we are more empathic, and we also understand that there's no such thing as a victimless crime. So when I started testing in homes where there had been either an armed robbery or a home invasion, it was often a woman in the home, either the lady working in the home, or sometimes it would be a sister who would probably be on drugs, who had organized such a thing. And also in businesses, where women had organized an armed robbery, which is so traumatic for the victims. To be on the wrong end of a gun is 100% trauma. There's just no worse trauma than that at all. Or even just a business burglary. So even in a burglary, the trauma is the same as actually being held at the wrong end of a gun, because the violation is the same. We do not feel secure or safe anymore after somebody has come into our property and violated our property where we should feel safe. So when I say property, I'm talking about a home or your business premises, your company at which you work. And what I started doing was to research the subject in great detail, and I've been researching it for about 2.5 years, and I do talk about this topic in my book. And I came across something called Battered Woman Syndrome, and it didn't quite ring true. And then I also came across something called love addiction, also didn't quite fit the bill. And then I came across something which fitted perfectly, and that is called trauma bonding, also known as the Betrayal Bond. Women who are involved in these kinds of relationships are susceptible to becoming involved in crime if that intimate partner with whom they are trauma bonded to encourages them to do so. I want to make it very clear, there are billions of women who are in this kind of relationship with these men who are not criminals, who just act out in this trauma-bonded relationship, which I'm about to explain, and they will never get involved in crime. But in my experience, women who do get involved in these kinds of crime, and when I say involved, it means that they plan it. They give the information to the people so that the crime can go ahead. So they don't commit the crime themselves, but they do benefit materially often, and they will know exactly when this is going to happen and what must be done and what is in the house as well. So who are these women? When I go to a home and there's been an armed robbery, now I want to also just make a point here. There are many, many women who work in our homes in South Africa, because that is the culture, who would never dream of harming their employer. So when I speak, I'm speaking in general terms. I'm definitely speaking about the minority of women in South Africa. So what I found was that the women who work in homes where they had failed the polygraph test, where it showed me that they had planned the atrocity, and I want to say atrocity because sometimes there is torture, but not, the torture in homes is not as prolific as it is on farm attacks, or who had organized the business robbery or the business invasion. They either have a son who has low levels of education, no strong father figure, is using some type of drug, even if it is only dacha. For our overseas people, that would be marijuana or weed, as you would call it, or is using some other drug, probably niope, which is a hectic drug in South Africa. It's also called wunga. Very, very common to use that in the townships. And he also hangs out with a criminal element and does not work. Or she's trauma bonded to an intimate partner. So that would be a boyfriend or a husband or even a girlfriend. You know, we also have our gay part of the population. And these people that they are bonded to, these adult men or these adult women to whom they are bonded, but for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to say it's a man. He would encourage her to get involved in crime so that he could benefit. And this would be his profile. He either job hops or has no job at all and would have some kind of substance abuse, most commonly alcohol, or second most commonly is weed. And this has been my experience. So what I'm saying now is it's not out there in research, but this is what I have found. And also he abuses her. So what is a trauma bonded relationship? Firstly, it would normally happen with a narcissist or a sociopath. So a narcissist is somebody who has very little empathy, who has very little conscience, and who needs something called fuel. Now, I know that we bandy the word narcissist around, and we all narcissists now because we take so many selfies. Not true. That is just vanity. It's a little bit inane, and it's normally our youngsters who do that. I mean, I don't think we see many old people taking countless selfies, and bless our young people, they will outgrow it all. And at least they know about technology, which is something that I have to rely on them for. And so what they would then do, these women, is that they would be involved. Okay, sorry, I've lost my train of thought. Right. So a narcissist, the fuel is attention. This is the defining thing of a narcissist. He talks about fuel. So the fuel is attention. It is negative or positive attention. He needs compliments. He believes he is superior to the rest of the nation. He believes he is magnificent. He believes that he is better than anybody else. There are also female narcissists out there, obviously, and there are men who are in trauma-bonded relationships. Again, I repeat myself, for the sake of simplicity, I am going to refer only to men today. But that does not mean that there are not men who are in the same situation of suffering greatly in these trauma-bonded relationships. Or the person is a sociopath. A sociopath, the laws of life and the laws of the land do not apply to him at all. He will see people as objects and also will need that attention, and there will be great manipulation. Narcissists and sociopaths manipulate people. So I'm going to refer to a narcissist as a narc and a sociopath as a socio from now on. So I've discussed the fuel part. Now this is really, I want to repeat myself, this is the defining thing of a narcissist. If you do research as I did and read books written by narcissists, because many of them have actually written a book where they are actually quite honest and open about their pathology. And I've also interviewed narcissists. So in psychology, a narcissist or a sociopath would be diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder. They no longer use the word narcissist or sociopath. That fuel is very, very important to them. They are driven by that fuel, the attention. They will, in the beginning of the relationship, When they compliment you, you are fawning over them. It is attention. Then they either get bored with you, or they need to change the status quo and they start to criticize you, and they will gaslight you, which I will discuss just now. There will be a reaction from you. That is fuel for them. When they go to work, they'll get a compliment. It's fuel. Or they'll act out at work. They will be criticized, which they hate, or somebody will start with them, will start an argument with them. This is also fuel. It is that attention. Narcissists and sociopaths will often talk about as well about how weakly they feel that they are constructed. They try to keep, and some of them will refer to it as the hunger, some of them will refer to it as the monster, and some of them will refer to it as the creature. They need to keep the creature in. There's nothing really to these people. They are made of hay. They are hollow. And for those of us who choose wisely, will often sense this and we will walk away. I'm going to talk about the cycle of an abusive relationship. I'm going to go through it very quickly. Then we will have an ad break, and then I'm going to explain those parts of the cycle and the stages in detail. So the first part of the cycle is love bombing, also known as overvaluing. Some narcs and socios call it the honeymoon period. It is also referred to as the golden period. Then we have the devaluing, criticizing you overtly or covertly. Then we have the discard. He disappears emotionally or physically. But the man that you met does not exist anymore. And then we have the Hoover. He starts all over again. We are going to go to an ad break, and then I will be back with you and I will explain everything in more detail.
The station with the best music. Best music.
I love the music.
Best music.
brandlive.co.za.
Lunatic, 'cause I do what I want, and I get what I want when I want it. You know life can be so ordinary. Boy meets girl, they said, oh, make a baby.
Have you ever thought about the power of social media?
brandlive.co.za.
Social media has the power to make your business grow. Grow! Yeah. Why don't you let us manage your social media? Because our business is to see your business grow. Visit us at www.beastdownmedia.co.za.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
The witty Tatterbots. Join myself, Carmen Murray, and my double trouble, Jessica McIndoe, with our big personalities, and we will present you with an insightful yet fun show. We will feature interviews with industry heavyweights and unpack everything from new technologies, marketing trends, and case studies to empower you to be ahead of the curve.
Brand Live.
Join us on this exciting journey every Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock and start a conversation on hashtag Witty Show. Hashtag WITEE Show. Thank
You're
you.
listening to brandlive.co.za.
Good morning, and I'm back again with you and delighted to be here. We are talking today about crime in general, and in particular today I'm talking about trauma-bonded relationships, also known as the Betrayal Bond. Welcome back. So as I was discussing the cycle of an abusive relationship, I'm just going to recap: love bombing, devalue, discard, Hoover. So let me talk about the love bombing. You meet this man. Again, I'm talking for simplicity's sake, referring to a man as to woman. It can definitely be reversed and also happens in gay relationships. So you meet this man and he sweeps you off your feet. You are wonderful. You are awesome. You are fantastic. You are amazing. He was born to love you. He will die if he doesn't see you. He will tell you these things. If you are in this relationship, download a book by H.G. Tudor called Decipher. He will explain to you when the man says this to you, this is actually what they mean. They actually mean nothing, but it's a very, very good book for you to read if you are in the situation. And in this love bombing stage, a normal woman who has had a strong father figure, because the major cause of crime across the world, lack of a strong father figure. Look at prisons across the world. Most of those prisoners have not had a strong father figure. Men who don't have a strong father figure are far more vulnerable to becoming part of the criminal justice system, and the girls are far more vulnerable to becoming involved with these men. So I've digressed a little bit. I just had to insert that part because the lack of a strong father figure definitely has an effect on our brains. So on this love bombing, the girl, there's red flags. There might be a golf course of red flags, but oh no, she'll step over them, she'll avoid them, she'll go through them. Her friends will tell her this is not normal, it's happening too fast. The woman cannot get out of this at all. She gets swept up, and some narcs, as I mentioned earlier, will call this the golden period. It is overvaluing you. It is you're put on a pedestal. The narc and the sociopath love this time because they are wooing you, they are courting you, and you are fawning over them, which is fuel for them. It's all an illusion. Whatever he says to you, he does not mean. Listen to what I'm telling you, ladies and men who are in this relationship. It is not meant. It's all rubbish. It's all an illusion. All he's doing is manipulating you for later. Then the love bombing period stops, and it stops for two reasons. Either he gets bored with you, or because he needs to change his status quo. He's bored with the fuel that you are offering him, and he needs to change that fuel to negative attention so that he can be fed. He then starts devaluing you. That devaluing can be overt or covert. So it would be in the form of criticism, definitely. For example, let's say you're a blonde like I am, and he then says to you, my girlfriend, whom he ran down at the beginning of your relationship with him, has got beautiful brown hair. So that's a little bit, under the radar criticism. Or it can be absolutely out in the open where he'll say to you, I don't like your hair dyed black. This will start to destroy your self-esteem. Or he will say to you, my ex-girlfriend is doing so well in her career, and he will make you feel less than. This starts to erode your self-esteem, and you wonder what you've done wrong. You have done nothing wrong. You're perfect as you are. He's just playing his game. This is the cycle of an abusive relationship. So then that criticizing period carries on for a little while, and then suddenly he disappears. He might disappear for months physically, or he disappears emotionally. He will definitely withhold sex from you. That is the one thing. And narcs and socios report they don't actually enjoy sex. So let's talk about sex with these guys. Or girls. They will give you the best sex you've ever had. They will be able to read you. Narcs and socios are in fact brilliant psychologists. So they will give you the best sex, and you will feel, oh my word, this is definitely my soulmate. He's not your soulmate. He's definitely not your soulmate. He might be one of your biggest teachers in your life, but he's not your soulmate. He will then withhold sex from you. He doesn't actually enjoy that physical intimacy, so he's okay with withholding it from you. You will not know what you have done wrong, and again, it starts to destroy you from the inside out. Once the discard period is over, he will hoover you, which means that he will come back for you, and then the cycle starts again. This can be in a marriage or a dating relationship. So he starts to love bomb you again. The stages between these cycles become shorter and shorter. Let me rather say to you, the gaps between these cycles become shorter and shorter. So he will love bomb you for a little while, and then the criticizing period will be maybe a bit longer. And you wonder, where is this man that you first met? Where's this man? Let me tell you something. The mask has slipped. What you are seeing now is the real thing. What you saw in the golden period does not exist. In that golden period, they will also mirror you. They will present as a soulmate. So many women who are interviewed in this, they said, oh my goodness, but he was my soulmate. And he is my soulmate. They cannot hear anything bad about this person. If you don't like cats, he doesn't like cats. If you hate missioning, he will mission for you. If you love traveling, he loves traveling. It will be like you are perfectly matched. And you will think, God has been so good to me bringing this man into my life. When he starts that devaluing, you need to walk away, hard as it is. So another thing that they do is they gaslight you. Gaslighting is done by word salad. They will argue with you, and you will only go in a circle. There will be no resolution to these arguments whatsoever. They use a word salad, so they'll use lots and lots of words. It sounds like it makes sense, but it actually doesn't make sense. Gaslighting is a term that was derived from a movie called Gaslighting, where a man was doing this to a woman, and he would turn down the gas lights. And she would say, who turned down the gas lights? And he would argue with her, and he made her believe that she was wrong in thinking that the lights had been turned down and made her believe that she was going insane. The woman whom I spoke to, and my research has shown this, when these women or these men are involved in these trauma-bonded relationships, there's no space in their head for anything else. They cannot connect to their children. They cannot think about their job. In fact, they become high-risk employees because they are unable to concentrate on their job. And they, even with the drug-addicted children as well, they also become trauma-bonded to those drug-addicted children. So with the gaslighting, it will make you feel as if you are insane. And the effect that it has on the brain, once you know why you can't leave this man, once you know like you are feel as if you are glued by super glue. Firstly, the bonds of chaos bind much tighter than the bonds of love. The bonds of fear are the strongest bonds on earth. Excuse me. If you are afraid of this man abandoning you, that is why you can't leave. And the real reason why you cannot leave this relationship is because the effect on the brain is exactly the same as heroin addiction. You are addicted to this man. When he gives you a glimpse of that golden period where he overvalues you, you go back on your high and you are happy walking on air. That is the part that you crave. And you stay through all the other nonsense just to have that moment of where you feel that he loves you and that this man has reappeared. So it's the same as heroin addiction. Victims report enormous anxiety. Some women lose a lot of weight. Some people put on a lot of weight, but it does change you at a soul level. And the obsessive thoughts, you will have thoughts that go in a loop over and over again. You will live to make this man happy, and you will never make him happy because, as I said, the man that presented to you in the beginning, that man does not exist, ladies and gentlemen. It's an illusion. All right, so how to leave? If you are going to leave, you need to get yourself some therapy that you know what's going on in your brain. When you are ready to leave, you need to plan to leave. It cannot be one fight and you walk out the door. You need to have a life to walk into. Get your new apartment, get your place to stay, enroll your kids in your new school, that you leave with a plan. And then you never ever tell him where you are. He will come and hoover you. You need to be strong enough to say no. So that basically wraps up my show. The next show will be on the 26th of February from 10 to 10:30. I will be interviewing a drug addict and we will be talking about how this affects crime and if all drug addicts steal and the effect on the mothers. How to get hold of me on Crime Uncovered, which is my Facebook page, and my Twitter handle is Solkakaza8. I'll explain the 8 to you on another day on a show, which will be, I suppose, in about a month's time. And thank you for listening in. I hope you found that most informative, and have a great day and stay safe.
You're listening to brandlive.co.za, an industry first in the world of internet radio. Not only are we an internet radio station, we are an internet radio platform for your brand. So why not expose your brand to potentially thousands of listeners and improve your customer relationships and brand equity with podcasts and live broadcasts? Be sure to check brandlive.co.za for more information. brandlive.co.za, harnessing the power of internet radio.